Good day, everyone. My name is Allie.
My name is Robin.
And we welcome you today to VBS News. Following are some USA headlines. U.S. President prepares to sign order aimed at combating cybersecurity threats.
U.S. pledges to help Sri Lanka recover from decades of civil war.
U.S. President prepares to sign order aimed at combating cybersecurity threats. President Barack Obama arrived in San Francisco on Thursday to focus attention on cybersecurity. The U.S. leader is set to sign an executive order on Friday aimed at encouraging companies to share more information about cybersecurity threats with the government and each other. A response to attacks like that on Sony Entertainment. The order sets the stage for new private sector-led information sharing and analysis organizations, hubs where companies share cyber threat data with each other and with the Department of Homeland Security. Obama will sign the order at a day-long conference on cybersecurity at Stanford University in the heart of Silicon Valley. Obama will also meet privately with some technology industry executives on Friday. They are expected to press again for surveillance reform and support for very strong encryption, which some in the administration have faulted recently on the grounds that it enables criminals and terrorists to hide their activity. The U.S. president was greeted by enthusiastic supporters when he arrived at the airport.
U.S. pledges to help Sri Lanka recover from decades of civil war. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry met on Thursday with the new Foreign Minister of Sri Lanka and pledged to help the country's new government recover from decades of civil war. During his meeting in Washington with Foreign Minister Mangala Samarawira, Kerry commended the plan for immediate political and economic reform drawn up by new President Maithripala Sirisena. We're particularly excited about the 100-day plan that the new government has put forward, Kerry told reporters at a briefing. We wish them well in the days ahead, and we're going to talk today about President Sirisena's thoughts on how to move Sri Lanka away from 30 years of war with the Tamils to a country that is inclusive and prosperous and peaceful. The new government came to power after former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's unexpected defeat in an election on January 8th. It is seeking to restructure billions of dollars in loans that were taken out by the previous regime for infrastructure projects as the country worked to rebuild after a lengthy civil war with Tamil rebels that ended in 2009. Samarawira said one of his government's new priorities will be to bridge the divisions between the different groups. We believe a new Sri Lanka based on the principles of unity and diversity, the diversity of cultures, diversity of ethnic groups, and diversity of religions will be the cornerstone of the new Sri Lanka we are representing, he said. Samarawira added that his government also hopes to rebuild ties with the U.S. Relations have been somewhat strained the last few years, and my job, I feel, is to ensure that we put back our relations to an irreversible state of excellence in the coming months, and I look forward to working very closely with Secretary of State Kerry, and of course with the United States of America. For us, for the new administration, the United States of America is not a threat, but a great opportunity. Among the things Sri Lanka is looking to the U.S. for help with is in a UN investigation on human rights abuses. Last March, the United Nations Human Rights Council voted to look into reports of abuses during the conflict, saying the Sri Lankan government had failed to investigate properly. The UN report is due out on March 25th. Sri Lanka's new government says it is planning a new local inquiry that would bring in some foreign experts if necessary. It has also invited the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights to visit to discuss the issue. Samarawira said during a visit to Washington that the roadmap for the government's plan should be in place by March 2nd, and it was hoping to see the UN report delayed until after that. At the briefing, Kerry did not say whether the U.S. would support that effort.
U.S. Senate approves Carter as new Defense Secretary. The U.S. State Senate voted overwhelmingly on Thursday to confirm Ashton Carter as President Barack Obama's next Secretary of Defense. Carter, who's 60, who was approved in a 9-5 vote, served as Deputy Defense Secretary, the Pentagon's #2 position, from 2011 to 2013. He was also the Defense Department's chief weapons buyer from 2009 to 2011 when he led a major restructuring of the F-35 fighter jet program. At his confirmation hearing on February 4th, Carter underscored his determination to boost the U.S. defense budget, drive down the cost of new weapons, and make sure technologies are delivered to troops quicker. He also told lawmakers he was leaning in favor of providing arms to Ukraine, but later cautioned that the focus of the international community's efforts to handle the crisis must remain on pressuring Russia's economicality and politicality. Carter will be Obama's 4th defense secretary, succeeding Chuck Hagel, who resigned under pressure last year.
Boehner to push for strong, robust Islamic State war plan. Pelosi says consensus will be hard. U.S. House of Representatives Democratic leader Nancy Pelosi said on Thursday it will be difficult for Congress to pass President Barack Obama's new proposal to use military force against Islamic State militants. Pelosi told a news conference it is going to be hard for Republicans and Democrats to reach consensus on a plan given differences over restrictions in Obama's proposal. But at his own press conference a short time later, U.S. House of Representatives Speaker John Boehner said Republicans in Congress will make the case for a strong, robust authorization for the administration's military campaign against Islamic State. There's a war underway and we're in the midst of it. But the president had tied his own hands and wants to tie his hands even further with the authorization that he sent up here. I think it's time for the White House to develop an outline for the American people how we're going to address this worldwide terrorist threat and to make sure that the president has the authorization to deal with it. I think the president should have the flexibility to fight this war wherever it is. It's as simple as that. Republicans who control both chambers of Congress largely oppose the plan's limitations on the large-scale use of ground combat troops. But many Democrats want a blanket ban on the use of such troops. Obama sent Congress on Wednesday his long-awaited formal request to authorize military force against Islamic State, one day after his administration confirmed the death of Kayla Mueller, a 26-year-old aid worker who was the last known American hostage held by the group.
Indian man files suit against Alabama city and police officers who threw him into the ground. In Alabama, police faces assault charges after a man recently arrived from India said he was left partially paralyzed after an officer threw him to the ground during a morning walk, authorities said on Thursday. Shirashabali Patel, 57, sued the city and 2 officers in a city rights complaint filed on Thursday alleging race factored into his treatment. His attorney said. The FBI said it was also investigating. Police officials in Madison, Alabama apologized to Patel and his family at a news conference on Thursday afternoon. They added that one of the officers involved in the incident last Friday had been arrested on assault charges and officials had recommended he be fired. Patel, who speaks no English, moved from India to Alabama about 2 weeks ago to help his son's family care for a 17-month-old child, his lawyer said. He was walking on the sidewalk outside his son's home around 9 a.m. when police said they received a call about a suspicious person who reportedly was looking into garages, according to the lawsuit in the U.S. Northern District of Alabama. In his lawsuit, Patel said he told police officers who stopped him, "No English, Indian," and gave the house number for his son. A police officer then tossed Patel, who weighs about 130 pounds, to the ground, according to the complaint. He was severely injured, requiring surgery to relieve pressure on his spinal cord, the complaint said. He has regained some movement in his arms and legs but remains very weak, his attorney said. The police said in an earlier statement that Patel put his hands in his pockets and tried to walk away as officers patted him down. The department acknowledged forcing him to the ground, resulting in injury. The results of the federal probe will be turned over to the U.S. Justice Department, said a spokesman for the FBI division in Birmingham.
Alabama official ordered to issue marriage licenses to gay couples. A federal judge on Thursday ordered an Alabama official to comply with her earlier ruling, striking down the state's ban on same-sex matrimony, and began issuing marriage licenses to gay couples. The ruling marked the latest twist in the controversy over gay marriage in Alabama, where probate judges have faced conflicting orders from federal and state courts. The resulting disarray has allowed same-sex couples to marry in places such as Birmingham, while those applying for marriage licenses in dozens of countries were turned away. U.S. District Judge Callie Grenade's order sought to clarify that Mobile County Probate Court Judge Dawn Davis should follow her directive in spite of a contravening order from Alabama Supreme Court Justice Roy Moore that led many states judging to refrain from issuing marriage licenses to gay couples. Grenade's order applied specifically to Mobile County, where within an hour of the ruling, same-sex couples who had been waiting in line at a county building began to receive licenses. Mobile residents Mark Stewart and his partner Tim J. called the decision a victory. "We want to be recognized in our town as being us. I've been with him 18 years, and yeah, he's going to be stuck with me now," Stewart said. Attorneys for same-sex couples named as plaintiffs in the suit had urged Grenade to issue a broad ruling to compel all judges in the state to begin granting marriage licenses to same-sex couples. The U.S. Supreme Court, in a strong signal in favor of gay marriage, refused on Monday to grant a request to keep the weddings on hold until the High Court decides later this year whether laws banning gay matrimony violate the U.S. Constitution.
Mourners gather in North Carolina for funeral of 3 slain Muslim students. Hundreds gathered in Raleigh on Thursday for a funeral service from 3 Muslim students killed following a parking dispute near the campus of University of North Carolina. The victims were newlyweds, Dea Shade Bakarat, 23, a University of North Carolina dental student, his wife, Uzar Muhammad, 21, and Uzar's sister, Razan Muhammad Absullaha, who's 19. Their coffins were laid in a field across from the Raleigh Mosque for the funeral service. One of the speakers at the service, which was closed to the public, could be heard saying, "We are not seeking any revenge. Our children are much more vulnerable than any revenge." Muslim activists in the United States and around the world have demanded authorities investigate a possible motive of religious hatred. Police said on Wednesday the case involved a dispute over parking and possibly a hate crime. Barakat, Mohammed, and Abu Salah were to be buried at a cemetery nearby Wendell. Craig Stephen Hicks, who's 46, a full-time paralegal student from Chapel Hill, was charged with first-degree murder in Tuesday's killings 2 miles from the University of North Carolina's campus.
Driver headed in wrong direction triggers deadly pileup. A driver heading in the wrong direction on a South Carolina highway triggered an accident that left 4 people dead late on Wednesday. South Carolina police say troopers attempted to alert the driver who was headed south in the northbound lane on Interstate 85 in Spartanburg County. The driver and 3 other people were killed in the 6-car pileup. Police say an investigation is underway.
And we will be back after the commercial, so please stay tuned.